You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Are you afraid of getting old? Today we're going to talk about what younger people need to know about getting old. This is the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Patricia, and I'm here with my husband, Jason. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason, what's so scary about getting old? Tell me.
We've heard from so many people, it's about losing your mind, literally. People see dementia and memory problems, Alzheimer's, as terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's about being vacant and losing the consciousness about who you are and your place in the world. And today we're going to use my mother as a case study in becoming vacant. We, as some of you may know, or some of you may not know, my 90-year-old mother lives with us. She's been with us for 8 years now?
8 years, that's right.
And she came to live with us after my dad died, and we just basically went and got her as soon as he died, and brought her to live with us. And she's full part of the family. I want to say this to the audience: she can't hear. She has a cochlear implant, so our communication is very
limited.
Is limited. We do simple phrases, and it's not conducive to long, drawn out philosophical discussions. And frankly, right now, her dementia is to the point where I don't think we could have those long, drawn out philosophical discussions, even if we could, even if she could hear.
Right.
So I want to say this because as I'm going to talk about her, she can't hear our show. She's not able to because of her hearing.
Right.
And so it's not going to hurt her feelings. Frankly, if she could hear, I probably wouldn't do this show about her. But I think knowing my mom, she would be in favor of her story helping other people. And I think she would be in favor of the show. So
I agree with you, Jason.
I just want to say that to the audience in case you're thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
But so, my mom's story, which is, we talk about a person's story, and it's not their literal story. It's more about their emotional story. And
the lives that they lived in that emotion.
Right. Their traumas, their hurts, their pain, their struggles.
Yeah.
And, my mother grew up in an old mining town in Upper Michigan. And I remember she telling me stories about how she walked home. There was this huge hill. As someone, even from someone like me that's from Minnesota, I can't imagine how they got up that hill, because they used to get 10 to 15 feet of snow a year. I'm not talking about inches. I'm talking about feet.
Right.
They would bury some of the houses. So, but her and her friends walked up that hill every day after they were done with school. So she was kind of tough. They came from a tough mentality.
And she even says, I'm tough. As she puts it, I'm a tough old broad.
Yes.
Whoa, okay. That doesn't, it doesn't, if you know her, that doesn't, it doesn't match to when you look at her.
We found out that she found out as an adult that she was adopted.
Right.
And that's important because, there's a fear of abandonment. There's a neediness that she has that we see as connected to the shame of being adopted. And we suspect, we don't know, but in a small town, being adopted, chances are the person, the woman who gave her up for adoption and/or her circumstances that she was adopted was probably known in the community.
Yes.
And so it was, I'm sure it was a point of shame. And I know her mother enforced that shame.
Her adopted mother.
Yes, her adopted mother. And I knew my grandmother, but she was tough and controlling. And I see that her mother held her captive. And I want to explain that term, but
it's kind of important, Jason.
It is. We see a lot of people that are held captive because they're controlled by their partner in such a way that their own free will is literally compromised.
Right.
Many women can say that that's the way women have been treated in general. And I would probably agree with that. But I also saw that when she married my dad, he was also controlling and difficult and held her captive. And I see now in retrospect that my mom saw that as a form of love and security.
Right.
So I'm giving you this just as sort of a backdrop because for us, there was always shame growing up. My dad had shame. My mother was actually the first line of defense to protect myself and my sister, but she really didn't.
She couldn't hold the line, we'll say it that way.
She struggled to really protect us in a way that was
would have been definitely
that
appropriate.
was needed. Yeah.
Yes.
And I see that she was captive to her mother, and then she found a man who she was captive to. And so I tell you this because today, when we look at her, we see that her dementia, and we haven't had really diagnosed. Usually,
we can't. Let's.
She has a cochlear implant. They implanted a plate.
That's right.
In her head. So she can't get an MRI, which is one of the main ways.
And it's this first step that a neurologist takes to decide whether it's dementia, Alzheimer's, and it depends on where the spots in the brain are.
Exactly, and have her evaluated. And really right now, the specific type of dementia, I don't know that it's important.
It's happening really fast.
Yeah, it is happening fast. She does have better days.
Yes.
And so we see that this dementia is related to being trauma in your essence, negative energy buildup in your essence. Now, if you've been listening to us in the past, we've been talking about the buildup of negative energy in your essence or soul forever. And the ecosystem approach that we've created is all about removing that negative energy trauma in your essence.
Right.
And we see a direct link with mom with that her dementia with that trauma. And we're going to be talking about that today. But here's the other thing I want to say. In the age of conspiracy theories and people just making things up, saying, well, this is true, or,
right.
There's so much stuff that's difficult to accept.
Right.
We know that as you go inward, you can start to experience your own negative effects of programming, negative energies, traumas, and you start to clear it. You get to see those things more clearly and more clearly, and you can validate this on your own. If you're struggling to validate it now, I'm not asking you to believe it. I'm just asking you to consider it and know that if you use the ecosystem approach for yourself, and we've been doing this for 20 years. We've seen so many of our clients have come to us and say, "Oh, I didn't see it before. Now I see it. I didn't see it before.
Right.
Now I see it."
And sometimes even the questions that those people ask, we see that they're related to this, that, and other things. But the bottom line is that they can't see them because there's I'm going to say a wall of negative energy around them that's keeping them from that clarity about this, that, or the other thing.
And I guess the bottom line for this segment is that we see that programming, which says it doesn't matter how you feel about something. It doesn't matter that you've had trauma or negative feelings or struggles and the negative feelings associated with those struggles. Just do it.
Whatever it is.
Just overcome it. Just go ahead and focus on what you have to do and don't focus on the emotions. But what happens is that we see that builds up. And instead of seeing a person as a machine, we see them as an ecosystem.
Right.
And in that ecosystem, it becomes a toxic, just like an oil spill
right.
in the ocean.
Or even on a lake. Yeah.
Exactly. So, what do you do to get your ecosystem back? Well, you start to remove the toxics.
Yeah.
And we see that this negative emotions, fear, terror, traumas, fear of abandonment, unworthiness, shame from being adopted, all those things build up over a lifetime.
Right.
And then you have all these problems and difficulties in old age, and we can trace them right back to those energies.
Well, and I'm going to interject and talk about programming, and the programming that I see for mom is that when right before she turned 90, she started talking about being 90, and all of these toxic things started showing up. And one of them was the loss of her day-to-day memory. And I find it to be interesting. I find it interesting because right before she turned 90, she started saying, well, I'm going to be 90, so that's why. Or, oh, I didn't remember that, but I'm going to be 90. And that's programming.
Well, and for her, she was programmed to believe that her value had to do with being productive,
right,
being of value, being of use.
That is correct.
She was a nurse all of her life, and being of service to others was part of her feeling of being important.
Exactly.
So when she loses her memory, she can't be functional in our house. And she, one of the things she always wanted to do when she came to live with us, what does she do? She does dishes. She does dusting.
Yeah. And by the way, dishes, she's amazing. Dusting, she's amazing. And she loves to be outside because she wasn't allowed to when she was with Jason's dad. And so she loves all these things. But when you have dementia, there's things that aren't always.
She's not able to do it like she was before.
No, there you go. Thank you for that, Jason.
Feel like she's useful.
Right.
So,
Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
One of the greatest fears of growing old is being mentally vacant or lost.
Yes.
There is a lot unknown about dementia, but we see that negative energy is the primary source of dementia, Alzheimer's, and memory problems.
Okay.
We see that living a life based on programming is generally the cause of dementia-related illness.
Exactly.
And the ecosystem approach is a way to remove the negative energy in your essence that can cause dementia.
So I'm going to jump in and say, start today.
Exactly.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about the removal of trauma in your essence and how that affects old age and specifically dementia. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
What would you do with the power of community? How do you create your own rituals? Tune in to Living Your Gifts with me, Susan Huff, Ancient Applications for Modern Times, the second Wednesday of each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Our lives begin with the stories we are told and the stories we tell ourselves. Storytelling is the key. To learn more about me, visit livingyourgifts.com. That's livingyourgifts.com.
The Knowledge Book, currently studied in 39 countries and 15 languages around the world, accelerates our evolution, takes us out of depression, offers universal truth, protects us, and makes us stronger, both spiritually and physically. So if you are interested in the Knowledge Book, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net and tune in to the Knowledge Book Radio with Marge Potasic on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
It's time to get your life back on Burn Bright Today with Jennifer Marcinelli. Tune in each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Learn to move from the darkness of burning out to the light of burning bright. Jennifer is redefining stress and the energetic causes of burnout, shining a light on process to get your life back. For more information about Jennifer and her work, visit burnbrighttoday.com.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Juliet Griffin on TransformationTalkRadio.com each second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. We'll take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were. This intuitive healer studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Visit OneTrueSelf.com.
How do you feel? Just okay? Well, how about you tune in and get ready to be more with the Healing Hour with me, Doc Martin, every third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I'm ready for your questions, and I can't wait to help you find the answers. Every month, we'll have a new live call-in show with innovative topics and a powerful hour of healing. To learn more about me, visit DrSharonMartin.com. See you there. I'm going to be here. You won't want to miss it.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. That would be me. And in this segment, we're going to talk about the removal of trauma in your essence and how that affects old age and specifically dementia. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Jason, can you explain how trauma affects people in old age, especially with dementia?
You know, in our programming world, we always focus on the outcome that we want. Just do it. You know, we're hard driving and hard charging and
just get it done.
Just get it done. You know, and if there's emotions that block us or they just become inconvenient, we push them aside and ignore them.
Exactly.
We're not trained to look at our emotions or our essence, where they come from, to see what's wrong. You know, during our life, we pick up trauma and negative energy, and if it's not addressed with clearing, you know, removed, it creates bad behavior in old age. And for most of us, this is what? This doesn't make sense.
Well,
you know,
and we're not
programmed to be programmed.
We're programmed to be programmed, and we are not taught to look from that perspective into our own future.
You know, my dad always said he wanted me to become an accountant, which made perfect sense for somebody else. You know, I'm not an accountant, and I can focus on details for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm gone. But he thought it was a good idea, which was just, you know, it made perfect sense. It was logical for somebody else.
Okay.
But that's programming. A lot of us fall into our jobs because it's a good job, it has good benefits, good retirement, whatever it is. But it has nothing to do with who we are and what we are.
Right.
So our purpose gets lost because we program ourselves. And then as we have traumas, deaths and hurts and difficulties growing up, maybe we were shamed, maybe we had fears and anxieties. We don't, instead of just looking at those and clearing them away, which is what we do in the ecosystem approach, programming teaches us to just push them aside, and that there's a form of heroicness by the ability to push something aside and keep going. And what we're saying is, instead of pushing it aside, you clear the negative emotions and then you keep going.
Well, you know, I have an example. You know, the buildup of negative energy is very apparent in old age. We're definitely watching it with your mom. And one of the things that I see is that when somebody has osteoporosis or osteopenia,
yes.
what's happening is that their physical body is carrying the dramas and traumas of their lives. But if you clear those dramas and traumas, I'm going to say big chances are that you're not going to have that. And by the way, you can start clearing those dramas and traumas today.
We see all the things that happen in old age.
Yes.
Whether it's cancer, all types of diseases, dementia-related illnesses, and just plain old bad behavior. Have you seen?
Yeah. We've seen some of those. Yeah.
You know, we had a social worker come to our house, a home health visit for my mom, And she told us that, she had a client whose dementia was so bad, but she all of a sudden in her dementia, she wanted to kill her husband. And I suspect she probably wanted to kill her husband before she had dementia.
Yeah, but had she cleared the negative energy that she was holding on to,
she would either left or got rid of
she'd
the
have
negative
figured
energy.
It out. Yes.
We had another story of someone who had dementia was burning $20 bills.
Oh my gosh. I mean, really?
And mom's had some really, she's had, when we when we got her, she was very susceptible to being influenced by,
word is sucker,
manipulated.
Yes.
And she was giving to a lot of charities. Some of them were appropriate. Some of them were scams.
Most of them were scams.
So, it just dementia makes you do really strange things. We're reading up about it and we see that. Mm-hmm. But the point that we're trying to say here today is that it all comes from the negative energy.
Yeah.
And everybody's different. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their hurts and struggles and challenges.
Sure. This is normal.
Traumas.
But when you take a moment every single day to get rid of the negative energies that you're holding on to, because the negative energies that Jason has compared to mine, they are not the same. We found very few similarities in that.
But we've been working on it since we've been together for the last 20 years as we've been doing the ecosystem approach, and we see a difference.
Yes.
And we have a lot of clients that are long-term clients, that have been with us 5, 10, 15 years.
Right.
And we're seeing these amazing differences in them.
Exactly. And they're seeing it as well.
And then we see my mom who's,
hasn't been doing it that long.
Hasn't been, she likes what we do because it, in her mind, is we're helping people.
Right.
But she doesn't really understand it. She doesn't really get it. And it was because of, her hearing's been always a problem since since she's come to live with us. But she is receptive when we clear her.
Right.
So,
and can I make a comment?
Yes.
One of the things that both you and I have seen separately is that one of the reasons, and we don't know why she is, I'm going to call it legally deaf. We don't know why that is. If there was a physical thing or something, we don't know that. But what we have seen is that when she has talked about Jason's dad, he, I'm going to use the expression, yammered in her ears for years. So she basically used hearing loss to not listen.
You can make all the things that are wrong with us, especially as they come in old age, whether it's bad behaviors or diseases or dementia.
Right.
There's reasons for them. And we see from my mom's hearing,
it
was the ability to tune out the world because it was shaming to her. When you ask her about how she feels, she sees it as being right or wrong,
and
good or bad.
Her pat answer, and I mean, she could be. I've seen her run a raging fever, and you'll say to her, "How are you doing?" "I'm fine," and that's her answer. "I'm fine" to everything. In other words, anything that says there's something wrong with me, to her says she's wrong.
So the buildup of negative energy really comes to roost in old age. We see that very clearly.
Yes.
There's one more part of this, and that's purposeful living.
Yeah.
Now, you could look at my mom and say, well, she was always very purposeful because she was a nurse. She felt that her purpose was to help people and to, do help with healing. And then she took care of my dad until he died. And that was her purpose. And there's some truth to that, but we know that it was superficial because a lot of that purpose came from trying to avoid the shame that she felt.
Yes.
Of being unworthy, and we can trace a lot of that back to being adopted and how she grew up.
Right.
So so how do you know what your purpose is and live that purpose?
Oh, well, I know the answer.
Yes.
Use the ecosystem approach.
Exactly, it's uncovered. We say that in every segment. We see human beings that need to be uncovered instead of programmed.
Exactly.
And when you start to uncover yourself by removing these negative energies, your fears, your worries, your anxieties, your hurts, your angers, your frustrations, all those things are energies that can be removed.
Yes. And Jason, there's just one more thing I really want to talk about. Most people are known for bad behavior and being rude. And I'm talking about older people.
Oh, yes.
There was a guy that lived across the street from us. We'd had a really bad storm, and so I walked across the street and knocked on his door. And I really didn't even know the guy, but it knocked on his door and said, is everything okay here? And is there anything I can get you? And he looked at me square in the face and he said, no, and slammed the door in my face. And I was like, okay.
He was known for being kind of grumpy.
But I didn't know that, you know, talk about rude. Yes.
But
yes.
But the point is, is that, our ability to have at least some social graces as we get older. People call it being eccentric. We don't see it as being eccentricity at all. We see it as negative energies just coming up.
Exactly.
The woman we said earlier that wanted to kill her husband, they were literally trying to make sure there's no guns available to her.
Or knives and any of all those things, yeah.
Those are negative energies, and we look at them very superficially. So, oh, that's just that person. Or we've kind of normalized bad behavior in old age.
Yeah. And
absolutely. It's not normal. And we see this because it's that negative energy, and that negative energy is not normal to human beings.
Well, and I need to say this. Because I've grown to not only know your mother, but love your mother, we can see when there's negative energy that's calling the shots, and we can see when she's really there. She is one of the sweetest people you ever want to meet in your life, and her intention to hurt someone is not there. She's just genuinely sweet.
Here's the most important point.
Okay.
We're designed that as we age, that we have a lot of value, and that we continue to contribute to society in a very productive, meaningful way out of wisdom and true knowledge. But that's not happening today.
No.
And that's because of programming and the buildup of negative energies in our essence.
Exactly. So, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Allowing our negative emotions to build up creates pain in old age.
Not only physical pain, but emotional pain.
Yes. And dementia-related illness has its root in the buildup of trauma and negative energies.
Yes.
And the lack of authentic purpose from essence creates vacant and uninspired old people.
Oh, yeah.
And the ecosystem approach prepares us for old age by healing your essence and removing the negative energy in your essence or soul.
And therefore giving us a better life while we're here.
Yes.
And so I just want to say one more time, start today, everyone. In the next segment, we're going to talk about what we're doing with Mom to help her essence and what you can do for you so you can age positively and naturally in a way that you were designed. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready to put down that drink or drug for good? Are you struggling to maintain your recovery from addictive behaviors? Do you need help with a family member or loved one who's in early recovery or battling addiction? Get the help and guidance you need by arranging a Recovery Recharged phone session with me, Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx, certified life and recovery coach. Call 1-800-889-1757. Make an appointment today or go to my website, pushybroadfromthebronx.com, and click on the link that says Recovery Recharged. Don't wait. Get the help you need today. This is Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
The vibration of change, that magical place where life shifts from struggle to ease, from stagnation to forward movement, from old ways of being to new ways of becoming. If you're like I am, it can be rather elusive to get there, but when you are in it, you feel it down to your very core, don't you? And it can positively affect everything in your life, from your relationships to your health and well-being, from your career path to your abundance. from the quality of that inner connection to the fullness of your self-expression. On the Christine Upchurch Show, we explore ways to get into that vibration of change with experts in the fields of consciousness, psychology, spirituality, health, healing, and science. Join me, Christine Upchurch, every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on KKNW AM 1150 and Transformation Talk Radio, and learn new ways to step into your vibration of change.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about what we're doing with Mom to help her essence and what you can do to help you age positively and naturally in the way you were designed. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason, tell the audience what we did with Mom and why.
Well, because of her dementia and hearing loss, we really couldn't talk to her or reason with her on a deep level. So we went around and started talking to her essence directly.
That's interesting.
You know, and talking to Mom's essence, normally we would go to someone's essence, and we've been asked this over the years. A lot of times as people get older or they're starting to die, people will call us in and ask us to talk to someone's essence and see what they want, and you know, how they can facilitate the death so that it's easier on the person that's dying.
That's correct. Easier on the person that's dying and the people around them.
Yes. And what we found is that, you know, when we do that, we usually ask their essence what they want.
Right.
We've often found that the essence says one thing and then does another. And we've seen over the years that a lot of people have the same thing that we see with my mom, which was, she was captive all of her life to someone else to feel secure and connected.
Right.
So we can see my dad still, even in his death, trying to get her to be with him, not in a good way.
Right.
And he was jealous of her happiness with us because she really, really,
she lights up.
She lights up.
You know, it's really interesting to see where she was and where she is. And even I will say this, even in the dementia, you know, she has good days and bad days. Yes, we know that happens with everyone, but she also has good memories and not good memories, and the effects of the not good memories, they show. She hangs on to them. They show.
We can see, and this is really for me personally, I can see when she almost. You know, my dad had some really obnoxious behaviors.
Okay, behaviors. Yes.
Ways of acting in the world.
Right.
And I can see every once in a while, my mom starts to act that way. And yes, you could say, well, they were married together for a long time. And, you know, people, you know, I've been teasing Patricia forever that she's starting to act like me, you know, blah, 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 and vice versa.
Oh, I could say a few things, but, you know, not.
But what this was is, you know, literally, we can see these bad ways of just being grumpy or argumentative or stubborn, which was just my dad to a T. And we will go and clear my mom, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah.
And we've done that over and over and over again, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And she does better physically, emotionally, in all other ways. You know, we see that these energies overlap and intersect in ways that aren't good. And you will learn some of this as you apply the ecosystem approach to yourself and start to see the world in a much different way.
Yes.
Now, some of you may be concerned about the ethics of making a judgment about my mom's essence. You know, we go around and talk to her essence and see what she wants, and we know that she doesn't really know what she wants.
And that's a big deal. That's
exactly,
you know,
that she was captive to my dad, and he's trying to take her away, literally to get her to die sooner. And we're trying to talk to her essence and say, hey, you can go whenever you want.
Yeah, this is your choice.
We want you to have the experience of life and life force energy.
And people around you that love you.
While you're here. And to enjoy being she loves being outside and being free necessarily. And Patricia's a good gardener and she loves watching the garden grow. All those things are really big deals to her. So we're making a judgment to help her essence by clearing her and clearing away my dad and talking to her and saying, hey, you can stay, and you're learning something at the level of your essence, which is the reason we're all here in the physical body in the first place.
Right.
To learn at the level of our essence.
Well, and Jason, let's just talk about this a little bit more. Your dad's motives for holding your mother captive was nothing more than fear. And I'm not making it trivial.
Yes.
Yes. The bottom line is that he convinced her, and her mother convinced her, that her choice, what she wanted, had no validity at all.
And her value was to take care of them.
Yes.
And we saw that. I knew that about my dad. I always struggled with my dad. I've been spending, since I've been doing clearing, I've been working on that negative relationship I had with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But he literally, because of his self-absorption, he wanted my mom to take care of him. And it wasn't really about my mom. It was about him.
Right.
And now we want to make it about her.
Right.
So, and that's what we're doing. And we're doing it in a way. Now, a lot of people think, okay, can you do this for my loved one or whatever? And really what we're trying to help you with today is to help you apply the ecosystem approach to yourself first.
Because without that, the success to do the other stuff that we're talking about today, you need to work on you first.
It creates an awareness of energy in the world. It creates an awareness of you in the world and your relationship to those loved ones that may be getting older and are struggling or whatever. So the other thing is that so we want to talk about what you can do. And of course, you probably have figured this out already, but it's to apply the ecosystem approach.
Right.
Now, a lot of people come to us and say, well, what about brain exercises? They do those little puzzles to help you with dementia or supplements. And frankly, we take supplements to help us with all sorts of things. But the focus for us is always on our essence first. And it's like the 80% of the 20%. It's the most important, and removing that trauma. And I can tell you, for both Patricia and myself, we've had a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of trauma in life. That's what we always focus on, because that's where the big results come from.
Exactly.
And then, of course, is to uncover our purpose as a result. And, you've probably figured this out, but we know that our purpose is to bring forward the ecosystem approach in the world.
Exactly.
And
and by the way, you can help us do that by telling a friend. And
we're going to tell you how to do that in the next segment.
Exactly.
But and doing this on a regular basis. This is the most important thing you can do, is to start removing this trauma.
Okay. So, Jason, what are the key points of this segment? Talking
to your essence is the direct way to your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Your essence can be sick with negative energy, but it's never vacant totally.
Right.
I need to explain that. When you build with the build-up of negative energy, it makes your essence sick, but it's never vacant. You may be vacant, but your essence never is.
Okay.
And it's about removing the negative energy. And the key to old age is making sure that your essence is healthy and the negative energies are reduced.
Okay.
And the ecosystem approach teaches you to live your life that's conscious and is full of vibrancy.
I love it. So, and of course, start today.
Start today.
So,
and we're going to tell you how to start today, because we're going to teach you how to clear.
Right now.
How to work with the energies.
Yes, exactly.
And our process is very, very simple. If you go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, there's a lot of information there, and specifically about the processor, which is our trash can, and we'll talk about it. So you can sit on your head, stand on your head, lay down. You can do this in any posture you want. And as we say the words, we want you to gather up what we say to eliminate in your physical body. So if we say, and to eliminate veils and illusions or fears and anxieties, gather those up in your physical body and then take a gentle breath and blow them into a trash can. It's that simple. You don't have to look crazy. You don't have to look weird. You don't have to make a spectacle of yourself. You do it very subtly. And once you get really good at it, you can do it so people can't even see that you're doing it.
Well, and here's the other thing. Yes, I mean, that takes practice, but it works. But the other thing is I know that using the ecosystem approach has really helped me see I'm not crazy. I grew up being different than everybody else, but I see that the ecosystem approach really helps me understand I'm not crazy. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to get you started. Oh, that's not true. We're going to teach everybody how to clear.
You're going to do the life force.
And I'm doing life force?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, everyone.
She's spacey, but not crazy.
Yeah. I didn't mean it to be that way. So after we do the clearing, then we're going to activate life force. It's the most powerful energy in the world. It is the most powerful energy we have access to. We're going to call upon it. We're going to have it come in through the top of our head. By the way, it's clean. It is clean. Come in through the top of our head, go all the way down our torso and our arms, and then to the tips of our toes. We're going to stop it right there. We're going to turn it around, and we're going to take a nice breath or blow air out, and we're going to remove any negative energy that's, like hanging around. And then we just keep going. So with that said, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to get you started living your life, including your old age, so it can be full of life and vibrancy. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you your story? Or can you change your story? Can you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your circumstances as part of your healing journey? What if you were to change your expectations? What if you were to invite ease and cooperation into every day and then step back and see what happens? It might just be easier. I'm Megan Edge, and I hope that you'll join me on my new radio show, Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host Dr. Pat on Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to seeing you there.
Want to find out more about Megan Edge? Visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Hi, this is Brittany Miles from Miles to Go, How to Lose to Gain It All. Here to share a tip with you. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We all need a break. Time to let it go. Here's a great go-to when you need to surrender and get back to the present moment. Acknowledge 5 things you see around you. Acknowledge 4 things you can touch around you. Acknowledge 3 things you hear. Acknowledge 2 things you can smell. Acknowledge 1 thing you can taste. And with that, take a deep breath. Now you're in the present moment. Brittany Miles, Miles to Go, How to Lose to Gain It All. You can find me on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. In this segment, we're going to get you started living your life, including you in your old age so you can have a full life. Jason, you ready?
Here we go.
All right.
I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the frenzy, anxiety, and fear that is negative energy and making my soul unhealthy. Take a breath, gather that all up. The frenzy, anxiety, and fear, blow it into a trash can. If you've seen our processor, blow it into the processor.
And I encourage everyone to use that processor. It's pretty cool. Not to mention, it's something that I created.
She painted it. Patricia painted it. But if you're going to use your mind's eye, your imagination,
right,
use the processor as the visual.
Yes, it's pretty cool. So with that said, and to eliminate the anger, hate, rage, and bitterness that is toxic for my essence, that anger, hate, rage, and bitterness from the tips of your toes, everybody, take a breath. Now blow it into that processor / garbage can.
So, and to eliminate the veils and illusions, so you can see that if you're considered the black sheep in your family, like Patricia was, and think that you were crazy or somehow there's something wrong with you, the best way to get rid of that is by taking that black sheepicity or that negative connotation on you.
Yes.
Gather that all up and blow it into the trash can.
Take a breath.
Processor.
And blow it out.
It's such a big deal. Talk about trauma in childhood. So we've seen this over 20 years that we worked with all these clients. We've seen that the people who are the best among us sometimes are discredited by their own family.
Yes.
And pushed aside, pushed down.
Exactly.
And made to feel like they're the weird ones. They're the crazy ones, as Patricia said. So
okay. So, and to eliminate my fears, anxieties, and paranoia that needs to be removed for a healthy essence. Take a nice breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions, so I can see that memory problems and being vacant comes from essence or the negative energy in essence.
I was going to say exactly. Take a breath, everybody. And to eliminate the barriers so I can start now healing my essence for today and when? My old age. Take a breath.
You don't have to wait for your old age to get the benefits. You get the benefits as soon as you start clearing.
Exactly.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see all the situations that that old age problems are negative energies first. Take a breath.
That was a really good one, Jason. That was a really good one. And to eliminate the false belief that I can ignore and postpone working on healing my essence when the truth is, start today. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see clearing constantly, consistently, and specifically creates a healthy essence and helps me in my old age.
Excellent.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate my difficulty believing that I can affect my old age with clearing and working on my essence. I release and let go that difficulty in believing I can actually do this. Take a breath.
And to eliminate my compulsion to trust method, practices, and education versus clearing my essence first, clearing the negative energy in my essence first.
Okay.
Take a breath.
And here's one of the biggest ones of all. And to eliminate seeing myself as a machine as I was programmed that prefers programming versus healing my essence. Take a breath. Blow it out. And to activate life force. So I can use life force. I should have done that a little different, huh?
That's fine.
Okay. So I can use life force to be happy and healthy and enjoy my life and have fun and know that I can be better today and be even better tomorrow. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can have hope for a good life in old age.
Take a breath. And to activate life force so I can trust that healing my essence will affect my old age and my life now, meaning today. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can have the determination to make energy work with the ecosystem approach central to my life.
Take a breath. And to activate life force so I can be happy and healthy and creative and have fun and laughter and joy and curiosity, creativity, even hope and love of myself and love of others, and know that by using the ecosystem approach, starting today, it's in my highest and best interest. Take a nice breath, pulling that energy right through the top of your head. And let it go all the way to the tips of your toes. Blow out any negative energy that's left over. So, Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
We're going to talk about learning.
Now,
today we hear so many people that are homeschooling.
Yes.
They're trying to help their kids learn from a computer versus going to school. And it's different. It's hard.
Yeah.
We've heard so many stories about that. And so how can you help your kids learn better? And how can you help them? How can you learn to help them in a better way?
Yeah, exactly.
But more importantly, if you're stuck at home during this pandemic, if you've been isolated, you have to learn a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that you have to learn differently than you used to do.
Well, number one is learn that your time that used to be yours when you were out in the world isn't the same anymore.
It's not the same. You're learning everything is different.
Yes.
Some of you might be just learning to struggling to figure out Zoom. Or,
Don't talk about me that way, dear.
Or computers, or FaceTime, or how to get your emotional needs met through a computer screen or on a telephone. It's hard today, and we're gonna talk about learning because the barriers to learning are always energies. So we're going to talk about how do you learn by removing the negative energies that keep you from learning, whether it's your kids that are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or however old they are, or yourself if you're 60, 70, whatever. Either way, those barriers are the same, and those energies are the ones that get in your way. And we're going to talk specifically about those energies in next week's show. So be sure to tune in. This will affect everyone.
Yes, exactly. So, Jason, how can I get more information and real support for the ecosystem approach?
I want to talk to you in the audience right now. No one else is around right now. It's just you and me. And I want to say that I know that during this pandemic, everybody's hurting.
Yeah.
It could be financial. It could be health. It could be a combination of all of the above. It could be stuck at home in a way that you don't want to be. There's so much sadness and depression and hurt and pain.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are the intangibles that we work with the ecosystem approach.
Okay.
Programming doesn't help you with those things. Programming is an abysmal failure when it comes to dealing with your feelings, feeling alone, feeling isolated, feeling abandoned, feeling desperate, feeling panicked because there's not enough food, there's not going to be shelter, there's uncertainty.
Not enough space for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the solution? The ecosystem approach.
Yes.
So we've made it really, really easy.
Okay.
First of all, we want to just kind of welcome you into our group, and we have we've created our website, which is theecosystemapproach.org. It's all one word, theecosystemapproach.org. And you can go on our website and sign up for our free subscription area. It's all free. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you get, make sure the box is checked for your weekly clearings. And every week, all you have to do is listen to our show. Get those weekly clearings in your inbox and do those clearings all during the week in between the shows. Do the clearings at the end of each one of our shows. You're going to start to feel better immediately.
And what about Facebook, Jason?
We have a Facebook page, theecosystemapproach.org. Go on there, like us. We love that when you do that. We appreciate that.
We'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio. You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.